と思ったら孫悟飯さんじゃないですか。
Piccolo felt the gentle breeze of the plane pass through his body as he gazed at the horizon, lost in thought. It had been months since he had revealed his new form, Orange Piccolo, and helped Gohan awaken the power of his beast transformation during the battle against Cell Max. Gohan had defeated Cell Max and saved his daughter Pan, who had been kidnapped. The battle had been intense and brutal, but together they had managed to protect everything they loved. After those events, Piccolo decided to step away for a while. He knew that his new power, although great, was still far from being mastered, so he chose to train in silence, away from the eyes of others, dedicating himself entirely to perfecting his skills and better understanding the limits of his new form. He knew that if he wanted to be useful in future battles, he needed to fully control this transformation. But now, after months of intense training and meditation, Piccolo was back. He had achieved the control he desired over his orange form, but a new thought was bothering him, something he couldn't shake, a feeling that grew stronger and stronger. Piccolo had always had a sharp instinct, and his perception led him to believe that Gohan had not yet reached his full potential. Gohan's beast form was powerful, no doubt, but Piccolo believed there was something deeper, a dormant power that Gohan had not fully awakened. Determined to help his disciple and friend, Piccolo decided to seek out Gohan. After months of training, it was time to see how Gohan was dealing with his post-battle life. Piccolo knew that Gohan was never like Goku or Vegeta, who lived for training and fighting. Gohan led a quiet life, taking care of his family and dedicating himself to his studies. But as much as he respected this side of Gohan, Piccolo knew that the Saiyan nature was always present, and sooner or later, Gohan would need to access that latent power within him. Upon arriving at Gohan's house, Piccolo found the young man living in peace. Pan was playing in the garden, and Gohan was sitting with a book in his hands watching his daughter. Videl next to him smiled. The scene was peaceful and harmonious, exactly what Gohan had always wanted for his life. Piccolo felt a warmth in his chest when he saw this. After all, he had a deep affection for Gohan and his family, but he knew that this tranquility would not last forever. "Gohan!" Piccolo called, his deep voice breaking the silence of the place. Gohan looked up, a friendly smile appearing on his face when he saw his friend. "Piccolo, it's good to see you. It's been a while, huh?" Gohan said, standing up to greet Piccolo. "Yes, it was a necessary time. I had to train, just like you should have," Piccolo answered bluntly, crossing his arms as he watched Gohan carefully. Gohan scratched his head, a little embarrassed. "Yeah, I know, but things are back to normal, and I was enjoying time with my family. After everything that happened, I thought we deserved some peace. And you do, but peace doesn't last forever," Piccolo said, his tone more serious now. "Gohan, we need to train. I feel like you haven't awakened your full power yet. You have incredible potential, maybe even more than your father or Vegeta. But if you keep going like this, you'll lose that advantage." Gohan frowned, now paying more attention to Piccolo's words. "What do you mean? I've already reached my beast form. It was enough to defeat Cell Max, wasn't it?" "It was enough then," Piccolo replied. "But I believe that your beast form isn't complete yet. Or rather, I believe that there's something beyond it. Something that you're not accessing. And if you don't train to find out, we'll never know how strong you can really be." Gohan looked at the ground for a moment, thoughtful. He knew Piccolo was right. Even with his beast transformation, he always felt that there was more to be explored. Ever since he was little, Gohan had always had frightening potential, and he knew that Piccolo believed in him like no one else. If Piccolo thought there was something beyond, then he was willing to find out. "All right, Piccolo," Gohan said, looking up with determination. "Let's train. I want to know how far this power can take me." Piccolo nodded, satisfied with the answer. Wasting no time, the two set off for a secluded plain, far from the city and prying eyes. There, surrounded by the vastness of nature, they could fight with everything they had without worrying about destruction or injury to innocents. When they arrived, Gohan already felt the familiar excitement of an imminent fight. He knew that training with Piccolo was never easy, and this time would be no different. "Let's begin," Piccolo said, assuming his combat stance. "I want to see your beast form. Show me all the power you used against Cell Max." Gohan took a deep breath, feeling the energy within him grow. His eyes became fierce and his hair stood up, turning silver and wild. The beast transformation took over his body, and the intense aura around him made the ground tremble. "Here it is, Piccolo," Gohan said, his voice altered by the transformation. "Do you think that's enough?" Piccolo watched closely. Gohan's beast form was incredibly powerful. He didn't deny that. But something felt incomplete, as if there was a barrier preventing Gohan from unleashing his full potential. "It's not enough," Piccolo stated, his eyes narrowing. "I want more, Gohan. I feel like you're holding something back." "Holding it back?" Gohan asked, confused. "I'm not holding anything back. I'm at my limit." "No," Piccolo insisted. "That's not your limit. You always thought it was enough because you never had to go further. But now I want you to go further. I want you to attack me with everything you've got, without reserve." Gohan hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. If Piccolo was saying that, he must have a reason. The young warrior advanced with impressive speed, attacking Piccolo with a series of fierce blows. Piccolo blocked the attacks, using his orange form to match Gohan's strength. But even so, he felt that Gohan was still holding back some of his power. "Harder, Gohan!" Piccolo shouted as he dodged a punch. "I know there's more. Remember what's at stake. Remember, Pan. Remember what you have to protect." Piccolo's words struck a chord in Gohan's heart. He thought of Pan, of Videl, of everything he loved. The desire to protect his family and friends made his heart race, and at that moment, something inside him broke. A burst of power surged, causing the aura around him to grow terrifyingly. The sky began to darken, and the earth around him shook. Piccolo smiled, finally feeling Gohan's true power emerge. "This is it!" Piccolo shouted, preparing to face the new challenge. "Show me what you can do, Gohan!" Piccolo knew that Gohan was still holding something back. He had seen his friend's latent power emerge many times before at critical moments, but this time he wanted to provoke Gohan to go beyond any limits he had ever reached. Piccolo took a deep breath, preparing himself to use a tactic he knew was risky but necessary. "Gohan, do you remember all those who almost lost their lives because of your hesitation?" Piccolo began, his voice becoming more incisive. "Think about when your father died fighting Cell for the first time. Think about all the times you had the power but hesitated. Even your daughter Pan was kidnapped and almost died. You didn't train enough to protect her from the beginning." The words were harsh, but Piccolo knew they were hitting the right spot. He watched as Gohan's expression changed, from confusion to intense, restrained anger. "You could have prevented so many of these tragedies, Gohan. How many times have you almost lost your family because you weren't prepared? Your mother, your brother, your daughter." Piccolo clenched his fist, emphasizing each word. "If you can't unleash your full power now, what guarantees that next time you'll be able to protect the ones you love?" Gohan, who had been trying to control his anger until then, could no longer contain his emotions. His memories ran like a movie through his mind. Goku's death, his mother's suffering, the danger Pan was in. Gohan's blood began to boil, and his anger transformed into an overwhelming energy. Suddenly, the aura around Gohan exploded in an incandescent orange glow. His hair, previously silver, began to change, becoming a vibrant orange. The energy around his body burned like fire, with intense flames in shades of red and orange, dancing around his body. The pressure was almost unbearable, and even Piccolo, in his orange form, took a step back. That's it!" Piccolo exclaimed, impressed by the transformation. "That's the power I knew you had, Gohan! Now show me what you're capable of!" Gohan, now in his new form, seemed like an unstoppable force, his eyes shining with determination. He took a step forward, and the earth itself began to tremble beneath his presence. Piccolo watched Gohan closely, trying to understand the depth of the new transformation that had emerged. The energy surrounding Gohan was something completely different from anything he had ever witnessed before, even when compared to his beast form. The ground beneath Gohan's feet was completely burned, as if the heat of his aura was capable of charring anything it touched. Piccolo knew that this was something deeper, an unexplored but also dangerous power. "Gohan, how are you feeling?" Piccolo asked, his voice full of curiosity and caution. "This power is different. It's more ferocious, more brutal. Are you able to control it?" Gohan took a deep breath, his eyes still glowing with an unearthly intensity. He looked down at his hands, which were still emanating red and orange flames, and clenched his fists, feeling the energy pulsing through his body. "Piccolo, this is It's like it's much more than the beast form, Gohan said, his voice deep and serious. The energy is so intense that it feels like every cell in my body is on fire. I'm barely moving, but my aura is burning the ground beneath me. I've never felt anything like this before. Piccolo took a step forward, his antennae tilted slightly forward as if he were capturing more of Gohan's energy. I can feel it too. Your aura is so powerful that even I can feel the heat from here. But Gohan, there's something more, isn't there? This power isn't just brute force. How is your mind? Gohan looked at Piccolo, his eyes growing darker for a brief moment. It's like... Gohan hesitated, trying to put into words what he was feeling. It's like something inside me has been released along with this transformation. A desire to fight, to test my strength against anyone. I've never felt this way before, Piccolo. It's an instinct so deep and primal that it's almost impossible to ignore. I want to fight, not just against strong opponents, but against anyone who gets in my way. Guys, before I continue the story, I'm going to ask you to like and also subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Have you done that? Then let's continue. Piccolo crossed his arms, his expression becoming more serious. He was already familiar with this kind of desire. It was something he had seen many times in Goku and Vegeta, the Saiyan instinct. Goku lived for the next challenge, always seeking to surpass himself, always seeking more powerful opponents. Vegeta, with his pride, also carried the same incessant desire to become the strongest. But Gohan has always been different. He has never fully embraced his warrior heritage, and yet he is the only one with that potential. Piccolo spoke. Goku and Vegeta have always had this Saiyan instinct running through their veins, the desire to find the strongest opponent, to overcome each challenge with their own hands. But you, Gohan, you always resisted that. You never wanted to be like them. You always preferred to live in peace, far from battles. Gohan nodded, aware of the truth in Piccolo's words. He has always had a complicated relationship with power and combat. Since he was little, he was forced to fight in extreme circumstances, and even though he always emerged victorious, he never liked the idea of being a warrior like his father or Vegeta. I know, Gohan replied. I always tried to deny that instinct. I preferred to dedicate myself to my family, to my studies. I never wanted to be like my father, always looking for a fight. But now, he looked at the horizon, his voice deepening. Now that desire is stronger than ever. In this form, the Saiyan instincts are in control and it is difficult to resist. It's almost as if a part of me wanted to let loose and go after any opponent, no matter the consequences. Piccolo watched Gohan carefully, noticing the tension in his expression. He knew that if this new power of Gohan's came with a price, he needed to help him control it before it became a problem. This irrepressible desire to fight could be dangerous, especially for someone like Gohan, who had always prided himself on his self-control. That's a problem, Gohan, Piccolo said, his voice firm. Goku and Vegeta can embrace those instincts because they've trained their entire lives to do so. They know when to fight and when to stop. But you've always tried to follow a different path. Now that those instincts are stronger, if you can't control them, you could lose yourself in the process. Gohan knew Piccolo was right. The power he felt coursing through his veins was incredible but also dangerous. He could understand Goku and Vegeta's fascination with battle because now he felt the same way. The burning desire to fight was something he had never experienced so intensely. I need to find a way to control it, Gohan admitted, because right now it's hard to hold back this urge to go out and challenge the next opponent. That's not me, Piccolo. I've never been like that. Then we need to work on it, Piccolo said determinedly. This power can be an incredible asset, but only if you can keep it under control. Otherwise, you will become a danger not only to your enemies, but to everyone around you, including your family. Gohan looked down at the scorched ground beneath his feet, feeling the weight of Piccolo's words. He knew he couldn't let this power overwhelm him, but he also knew it would be a challenge. The intensity of the transformation was beyond anything he had ever experienced, and the Saiyan instincts he had always tried to suppress were now stronger than ever. Then let's begin, Gohan said, his voice full of determination. I need to learn how to control this form before it's too late. Piccolo smiled slightly, seeing the firmness in Gohan's gaze. That's right, Gohan. I've always known that you had an incomparable power within you. Now it's time to learn how to control it so that when the right moment comes, you can use it without losing yourself. Piccolo took a deep breath and began to increase the energy of his orange form as his body grew and strengthened. He knew that what he was about to face would not be easy. Gohan, in his new transformation, was a fearsome opponent, driven not only by power, but also by Saiyan instincts that were manifesting themselves much more intensely than before. The goal of the training was not to defeat Gohan, but to help him master these primal instincts. "Alright, Gohan, let's begin," Piccolo said, his voice deep as he assumed a combat stance. Gohan, still in his orange-haired form and with his flaming aura surrounding him, responded with only a determined look. His energy was so intense that the air around him seemed to vibrate, and the scorched ground beneath his feet indicated the magnitude of the power he was barely controlling. The fight began explosively. Gohan advanced with overwhelming speed and strength, attacking Piccolo with ferocious blows. Piccolo knew this was coming, and even in his orange form, he could barely keep up with the intensity of Gohan's attacks. With each exchange of blows, Piccolo was thrown backwards, often struck with such force that he felt his bones shake. However, Piccolo had prepared himself. He knew that Gohan could lose control, and so he brought with him several senzu beans, essential to continue the training. Each time Gohan defeated him, Piccolo used the seed to quickly recover, returning to the fight with the same determination. The process repeated itself countless times throughout the days of training. Gohan would crush Piccolo with his immense strength, Piccolo would recover, and the fight would continue. What was impressive, however, was not only Gohan's strength, but the gradual effect of the training. Over the course of 3 uninterrupted days of fighting, something began to change. Gohan's uncontrollable desire for combat, that almost insane urge to attack anything in his path, began to slowly diminish. His attacks, although still incredibly powerful, were less impulsive and more calculated. Gohan was beginning to regain control of his mind, gradually mastering his instincts. Finally, after 3 exhausting days, Gohan and Piccolo stopped fighting. Gohan's body, now sweaty and visibly tired, began to naturally regress from his transformation. His hair returned to normal, and the intense aura of flames around him disappeared. Piccolo, also exhausted, undoing his orange Piccolo transformation, watched Gohan with a satisfied look. "You did it, Gohan," Piccolo said, breathing heavily. "You're starting to control those instincts. It wasn't easy, but you're on the right track." Gohan, now in his base form, smiled slightly, visibly relieved. He knew the training had been brutal, but he also understood that it was necessary. This new transformation was too powerful to be left unchecked, and his Saiyan instincts, which he had always tried to deny, were now an integral part of who he was. If he wanted to protect his family and friends, he would need to master them. "It was difficult, but I think it's working," Gohan replied, still breathing heavily. "For a moment, I thought I was going to lose control, but with your help, I managed to hold it in. I'm not fully in control yet, but now I feel like I can at least keep from getting lost." Piccolo nodded in agreement. "From now on, we'll train 3 days a month without interruption. This will ensure that your control over this new form will only improve, and that your Saiyan instincts won't get the better of you." Gohan agreed without hesitation. He knew that training with Piccolo was crucial to his development. The new form was more powerful than anything he had ever experienced. But with it came the danger of losing control. Training regularly with Piccolo would ensure that he remained in control of his mind and his power. Guys, did you like Gohan's new transformation? Do you think this story deserves a continuation? I commented, left a like and subscribe to the channel. Bye.